Welcome, everybody, to another edition of Insights into Addiction and Mental Health. The show is brought to you by NeuroPsychiatric Addiction Clinic. And my co-host today is the CEO, and everything in between, Bob Lehmann from NeuroPsychiatric Addiction Clinic. Bob, how are you, my friend?
Oh, hey, Scott. How are you?
I'm doing just great, just having a good day and, another day alive and doing something I love doing.
Yeah. One day at a time, Scott.
That's it. How's everything going with neuropsychiatric, my friend?
It's been very, very busy. We're a 28 bed facility, and today we're at 80% occupancy. And and the phone rings off the hook. We've been only open for about a year and a half, and I think people are starting to realize the quality of the care that we provide, and the number of referrals are gone significantly up.
That's important. And going into this new facility, first of all, let's talk about the history of neuropsych and why it's important that we talk about it. First of all, you went into this at a time when probably a lot of people said, "Are you insane?" We
Absolutely.
had COVID going on. We had some of the reputation of treatment in South Florida was not good. You had all these things against you. What made you believe this was the right move at this time?
Well, Scott, I've been doing this a very long time, and I won't tell you how long because people probably laugh saying, "What's he still doing this for?" But South Florida and Florida treatment facilities really got a bad rep, and unfortunately, because of some very, very people who were, I don't know how to put it other than they were pretty grimy, and they were not providing the right thing. And what happened was it really intensified. And what also happened was then we had COVID, on top of it all. And so people still believe that Florida was a hotbed for poor quality of care, doing illegal kinds of things. And in reality, yes, some of that was true. And many of those people no longer are providing services. Some of them are actually, making license plates in prisons. But there's some really good care going on. And, we started an organization about a year and a half ago that I was intricately involved in. It's called the Florida Addiction Treatment Coalition. And really was there to advocate on behalf of clients and on behalf of treatment programs. And we started building some momentum. And unfortunately and sadly, COVID hit. Well, now we have restarted it. We had our first general meeting 2 weeks ago. We had close to 70 people there. I'm the new president. You were there. Karen was there, and it was a great turnout. And we have four really good subcommittees: one on clinical integrity, one on promoting good quality treatment in Florida, one about educational things, statewide laws and new regulations, and the fourth committee is on integrity, and measuring quality of care and integrity in treatment programs throughout Florida. So I think it was a good time. It was a good time to start it. Unfortunately, we got backlogged a little bit because of COVID and everything. But I think a lot of good things are now going on in Florida, and I think people are starting to realize that.
Now that's important to you, isn't it, Bob? Because you've worked in the mental health field and now the addiction field for quite some time. Integrity is really important, isn't it?
It really is. It's one of those things that if you go and you buy an automobile, and even whatever it is, a BMW, a Chevy, or Ford, I mean, you can pretty much assess, how good the quality of the vehicle is, because it's either going to run right, the brakes work, you can tell. Where in our industry and mental health and addiction, you have to evaluate the quality and the integrity of the programs based upon the success of the clients who go through your program. And so we're each one of us, each of the facilities, the good facilities are doing that, do that through client satisfaction surveys and aftercare follow-up surveys and that kind of thing. So it's very important for us in order to be able to articulate the integrity of our program. One of the ways is the success of the program.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, it's funny you bring up the car thing, because I think in my experience, what I've seen is I've seen people spend more time researching their automobile
Mhm.
than they do researching the facility that they're sending their son or their daughter
Right,
to,
right.
which is kind of a strange thing, right?
Well, it is, and unfortunately, um, when you're going out and buying a car, or any kind of product, even a household product, a dishwasher or refrigerator, usually you have time to be able to research it.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
you're able to go online, you'll be able to read reviews. When you're dealing with a loved one, whether it's a family member or a friend who is in an active addiction, the window of opportunity to get them into a treatment program is probably about 24 hours or less. So you don't have a lot of time, because if you don't get in quickly, you're not going to get them in. And when they don't come in, they're either going to go back out and use, they're going to disappear, they're going to run. So it's very different than buying a car. You have only a short period of time to advocate and get them into treatment.
And unfortunately, it's because of that. I'll use the word desperation, because it is a desperate moment when you're trying to get a loved one help. Because of that desperation and that hurry, that's been taken advantage of by certain treatment centers out there in the past. So, how does someone protect their loved ones, and protect themselves when they know they have an issue? They got to get them into treatment. Time is of the essence. So, how can you quickly ascertain what's the best place for your son or daughter or your loved one to go to?
Well, the first thing you want to do is you really want to talk to the staff at the treatment facility. And usually, just like us, we're available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Another way of doing it is by going using the internet, using internet to your advantage. Go and look up the reviews. Go up and look at the reviews of the treatment facility that you're considering sending your son or daughter to. And those are two very quick ways you can do that.
That's really important, is being able to talk to somebody.
Mhm.
Certainly, you can start with the internet, which is always just a good place to start. But don't believe every photo you see. When
Oh,
they
yeah,
got photos of everybody out deep sea fishing and having a good time,
yeah.
and if it's a detox, that's never happening in a detox. So
No.
common sense is one thing, and then the other is talking to people. What I know
Oh,
about neuropsychiatric, and if you don't mind me talking out of turn on this, Bob,
sure.
I know that you're there day to day running the show. You'll talk to anybody at any time, but you've also got, like, you don't have absentee owners. You've got owners who also will pick up the phone and talk to people. It's an
Correct.
amazing thing that there's nobody involved who won't sit and talk with somebody.
No, that's absolutely right. And if somebody calls in and they want to speak directly, they call into our 1-800 line and they want to speak to the CEO, COO. That my staff will put them right through to me. I'm available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And same thing, if they want to speak to an owner, it's very easy for us to hook them up with an owner. It's not difficult at all. We want them to feel comfortable with their decision and good about their decision, because it's a life changing decision.
Absolutely. And, I would rather, I think you would agree with me. It's better for us to be slightly offended by the question than for them to feel that they didn't ask the question.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
you're not going to hurt our feelings. Ask
Mhm.
away. We
Yeah.
understand that this
Mhm.
industry has taken some black eyes, and we
Sure.
understand that we may have to suffer some of that. But ask questions.
Yeah, and like if you go on our website, what you see is what you get.
Yeah.
We're in it's a beautiful $4 million building. It's about 2.5 years old. We do not have a swimming pool. We are not on the ocean. But it's very comfortable and very nice and very beautiful. There are other places, you go on a website and you're going to see the ocean. Well, they're so far away from the ocean that,
Yeah.
it's sad, that they shouldn't misrepresenting what's going on and where they are. We give them a solid treatment program, and that's what they're here for. If they want to go swimming, well, they can go to a Holiday Inn. You know,
It's-
Uh,
no, Bob, I agree with you. I mean, sometimes the bells and whistles can be attractive.
sure,
But riding a horse didn't get somebody sober, or going swimming didn't get somebody sober. It's the treatment that they receive. And
right,
those are the questions we need people asking. Not
sure,
a lot of people understand the ins and outs of that. Let's talk
right,
specifically about co-occurring disorders, because this
sure.
is a common thing these days, Bob.
Hmm.
There's sometimes there's the minor co-occurring disorders, which might be anxiety and depression, maybe even a slight bipolar. And then there
Hmm.
could be some major co-occurring where some real mental health issues are going on.
Right.
People should be asking questions about that too, shouldn't they?
Absolutely. Well, we are lucky and blessed that we are licensed to provide a substance abuse detox. We are licensed to provide substance abuse residential, and we are also licensed to provide mental health, primary mental health residential. And so, you'll get somebody that'll come in who really has a primary substance abuse disorder. They are addicted. They've been using heroin or fentanyl for a long time, or benzos like Xanax, and that's their primary problem. But they also have some secondary issues, like you articulated, related to mental health. They could be depressed. They could have a major depression. They can have a bipolar disorder. Well, we can treat that co-occurring disorder because our medical director, Dr. Toledo, who's going to be on one of these shows soon,
Yes.
um, he is a neurologist and an addiction specialist. And then we have a consulting psychiatrist, Dr. Andahar. But we can also treat somebody who doesn't necessarily have a mental health disorder, have a substance abuse disorder, because we're licensed to provide primary mental health. So if somebody says maybe they smoke some weed and stuff like that, but it's really not the problem. With the problem arise is severe trauma, severe depression. It could actually even be schizoaffective, a schizoid personality. So we can treat them as the primary diagnosis.
Now, I would imagine, and I know I've seen this in many cases, or not many cases, but in several cases, where somebody comes in and it appears that we're treating a substance abuse disorder, and then it becomes apparent once they are there that was more of a self-medicating issue
Hmm.
because of a primary mental
Hmm.
health.
Right.
So if they come in under one and then it comes to light that it's something else, you can handle that. It's not
Absolutely.
it's not like they're going to come in and find out, wow, we can't handle this.
No, absolutely. Yeah, I'm very blessed that I have a staff. I have a really diverse staff. They're all licensed. Our therapists are all licensed here in the state of Florida, and each of them comes with a specialization. Some really work really good with schizophrenics and major depressions. Some come because they've had 10 or 15 years working with clients who have substance abuse disorders. So we do a pre-screening, and then we do evaluation when they come in, and we link the person up to the therapist that's most appropriate based upon the problems that are presented. And we want to make sure that they get the best possible care from the best possible therapist who can treat them.
I've also seen that it's a common practice for therapists to assist each other because
Mhm.
there might be minor things going on that they will help each other and communicate very well. So it's not like you're on an island with just one therapist.
Oh no.
Everyone's there at your disposal.
Oh, absolutely. We have full-time case managers, full-time therapists, licensed therapists. We have a nutritionist on staff. We have an art therapist, music therapy. We actually do equine therapy where we take them off the campus, and which is a very fascinating thing. It's just not that they ride horses, but it's a very soothing and calming effect on people who are in a lot of stress and a lot of trauma. And because we not only treat substance abuse and mental health disorders, but we will treat pregnant women. Many programs won't do that. We'll treat pregnant and addicted women up until the beginning of the third trimester. We'll also treat people who are on high dosages of methadone, 200 milligrams, 225 milligrams a day, which is huge. Most programs won't take them that hard. Dr. Toledo is an expert in that, and we're very comfortable in treating those.
Well, let's address both those things, Bob, really quick, because I think it's important to understand. A lot of women who may be addicted and pregnant have not had proper prenatal care, have not had somebody look after them, and
Right.
they might be coming in the first or the second trimester. Something's going on. There's a lot of places that will shy away from that, and for good reason, because they're not set up to deal with it. You
Sure.
are, and quite confidently, you'll get them the prenatal and the care that they need as well, right?
Right. Oh, absolutely. We have now two full time, two. Well, they say one, two. We have three full time case managers. We'll have two case managers and a recovery coach, full time recovery coach, and they will link people up to the appropriate care. Now, if they come in and they have their own OBGYN doctor locally, then of course we're going to make sure they continue to have their appointments. But if they don't have somebody, then we have relationships with local OBGYN, high risk OBGYN doctors that we refer the clients to while they're here.
Excellent, excellent. So I think that's really important, and it's good. And if somebody is pregnant, make sure that you're going to a place or if your daughter is pregnant. I was going to say son or daughter, but I guess it wouldn't be the son.
No, I think so.
That would be a shocker. I don't think anybody's ready for that one.
No.
But if your daughter is pregnant and you're trying to get them help, make sure that they have this kind of service going on. Ask
Yeah.
about it. Now, with the methadone, Bob, you mentioned that they're coming in on these high doses of methadone and stuff,
Mhm.
or Suboxone or whatever it might be.
Right.
Is the plan when they come in there that you can handle it and you will build a titration in there to get them,
Oh,
you know,
absolutely.
you're not about just let's just keep them on this stuff and
Oh, no.
maintain them, correct?
No. No, they come in because they want to get off the methadone because they've been on for so long, methadone detoxification is really a very difficult experience. And I don't know the way to explain it and say that when you detox from methadone, it gets into your bones. There's a lot of pain and there's a lot of ache, and it's not an easy detox. So we have our own pharmacy here, and we are licensed by SAMHSA, which is a national certifying body, as an opiate treatment program. And that what we do is it gives us the opportunity. We use the methadone and we titrate them down to a certain amount. So say they're coming on 200 milligrams, we'll titrate them down to about 60. And then what we're going to do is we're going to provide then we're going to take them off the methadone and we're going to wean them off by providing some other medications for the last 60, to get them off the last 60 milligrams. And so we make them comfortable, we make them safe, we do the right things. We have 24-hour nursing staff here, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. There's nurses on staff here. And so, and every day they're going to see somebody. Dr. Toledo's here. We have a physician's assistant who comes in and sees the clients. And we have a psychiatrist who comes in and sees the clients. We take really good care of the people here, really good care.
Bob, I think that's really important to talk about because so many things could go wrong. So many things could, for any individual, no two individuals come down off of heroin the exact same way or alcohol
Sure.
the exact same way. There could be all sorts of medical issues. And there are places that will limit their access to medical care or to even talking to a doctor or a nurse. Not the case with you guys. I mean, there's always somebody available medically, correct?
It really, absolutely. I mean, I think your point's well taken. Everybody experience detoxing is different. Like for instance, people don't realize that when you've been taking like Xanax, a benzodiazepine for a long period of time, you are extremely, extremely susceptible to having a seizure. And most people who come in that, well, I didn't know that, and then there are other people that says, I know what you're talking about, Bob, because I've already had 3 or 4 last month. And so it's every person is different. We develop an individualized treatment plan for people based upon what they're using, what their history is, what their recent experience is. Because our bottom line is we want to get them off of that drug, but most importantly, we want to keep them safe.
Absolutely. And I love the you talked about the facility, and it's great. It's a clean facility. It's very nice. It borders on luxury, but it's still, you're there to get help. It's very,
Right.
very clinically appropriate.
Sure.
However, the staff is really where it all begins and ends with NP. You could be in a shack and still give them great care because it's about the staff. That's important to you, isn't it, Bob?
Yeah. I mean, we really, when we recruit staff, when we look for staff, number one, that our standards are, the therapists have to be master's level and they have to be licensed. Our nurses are all RNs and LPNs, and we hire people who have a good amount of experience in this industry. In the substance abuse addiction treatment industry, in the mental health industry. We're looking for that experience because, you go to college, like I went to college, and I have a master's degree, but you can't be always taught what the experience is going to be like treating an addict or somebody with severe mental health problems until you experience and see it. And you see it firsthand for yourself. Because like you were saying, everybody is different. Everybody's symptoms are going to be so much different. There's no pattern of symptoms. Some people get extremely depressed, and they isolate. Some people get very hypomanic. It's very, very different. But as long as you have really good staff who understands that, then the client's going to get the best possible care.
Absolutely. And I think having that kind of understanding, and I know you've even gone and worked with Addiction Training Center and
Mhm.
had your staff trained to help with
Mhm.
de-escalation and understanding
Absolutely.
different things. And I think
Yeah.
that's really important, that top to bottom, you want your staff to have what they need to do their job properly and to
Right.
take care of your clients.
Well, and
Um,
and
yeah,
quite honestly, the training that they received from you and Karen with the Addiction Training Center is significant. You know, especially our techs who, some of them may have an associate's degree and some of them have a bachelor's degree. Um, what we want to provide them, they need to have an understanding about addiction. They need to understand, what the symptoms are, what clients are going through during the detox phase of treatment. And so the training that you guys have provided has been significant in terms of my staff's personal growth and development. It's been really excellent.
Bob, you've got so much there to be proud of. You really, really do. It must give you a great satisfaction to walk into that building every day and see what's
Mhm.
happening.
It really does. People ask me, they say, Bob, why do you do this? You know, if I go into a room of people who are not necessarily involved in the addiction treatment industry or mental health, I can look at them and say there's 50 people in the room. I can say, I want everybody who knows somebody, whether it's a family member or a friend, who has experienced an alcohol or drug problem, mental health problem, raise your hand. I can guarantee you that 90% of the people in that room are going to raise their hand.
Yeah.
And that's why you do it. I mean, I'm not in recovery, but I have personal experience in my own family related to addiction. That is one of the things that drives me to continue to do this. People were there to help my family, and I want to have the opportunity to continue to help other families.
So you've been able to see this from the perspective of someone who cares about somebody.
Absolutely.
Um, does that change your perspective on how much help the families need while the clients are in there?
Oh, I just had a, I just, I, there sounded like a thunder went through the microphone. Um, People don't realize how significant the impact is on the family with the person who's with alcohol and drug problems. It is so significant. You can't got to imagine, here's the person who's been using and for a long period of time. They may have stolen from their families. The families are just so depressed. They almost lost them a couple of times. They may have relapsed 3 or 4 times. That and so many other things weigh so heavily on the family that really, for me, it's just I describe it as a family disease. Not only is it a disease of the individual, but it's a disease also of the family and all the heartaches and the sadness that they experience when their loved one is going through this.
I know for a fact that as a father myself of someone who had an issue, who actually did get help by you guys,
Uh,
spent some time there.
yep.
That while she was there, I had access and information, and it made me feel a whole lot better. And I wasn't involved in every piece of her treatment because I
Mhm.
shouldn't be, but I was
Right.
given the information so that I felt
Mhm.
safe and I felt that my child was safe.
Right.
And I think that's so important because we feel so unsafe for so
Mhm.
long when they're active.
Right.
Just to have that reassurance that they're in good hands.
Right.
And trust me, Bob, you guys have the best hands. It was such an honor to have her there.
Well, we're not all things to all people. That's one thing you'll know about us, and we don't accept every single person that picks up the phone and calls because they may not be a good fit for us, and but one of the things we always promise is if we don't feel that we're a good fit or your insurance company doesn't feel you're a good fit, we will link you up with another treatment program that we know and respect who would be a good fit. We never just say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I can't take you in. Goodbye." We don't do that. We
Yeah.
don't abandon people.
Yeah, I'm not sure people would understand. I mean, obviously, anybody who wants to do cash payments or something like that, that's fine. But with insurance companies, there's two different things going on. There's in network, there's out of network,
Right.
and you don't get to just say, "Well, we'll take everything." The insurance companies kind of block that,
They
so
do.
you've got to make a choice. So you might be out of network, but if they need an in network place, you'll be able to find them that.
Right.
Um, and it's just because you have to make a choice which ones you're going to serve. It's not about greed or anything at
Right.
that point. It's really about you're only allowed to make one choice, right?
Well, I mean, for us, I mean, we have the luxury of both being an out-of-network treatment facility, meaning that we can accept out-of-network third-party insurance policies, but we're also in network with a number of other insurance companies. So we have the luxury of, in many instances, can service a lot of different insurance providers.
Excellent. But like you said, if you can't, because you're involved in something like the Florida Addiction Treatment Coalition,
Uh-huh.
FATC for those
Right.
who are familiar with it, because
Right.
you're involved in that, you're kind of like also putting that out there that we don't have to be at battle with each other. We're all fighting the same fight.
Oh,
And
oh,
by getting a coalition together like that, when somebody calls you, Bob, and you can't service them for whatever
mhm.
reason,
Right.
you've got a plethora of people that you can make a call and say, "Hey, listen, this kid needs some help. Let's do it."
Right.
So that's really important. That's the way it should be, shouldn't it?
Oh, absolutely. I tell people, I will not refer somebody to another treatment program because they can't come into mine, nor will I refer them for an aftercare like a sober house or a recovery house after the complete without me going and personally seeing the programs and meeting the staff. I don't refer it to anybody that I haven't seen.
Absolutely. I think that's important. You know, your word, and your integrity is
Yeah,
important.
it is.
And it's our integrity that's going to continue to help people.
Mhm.
We don't help people by taking shortcuts and looking for the easier, softer
No.
way.
Oh,
We
no,
have
no,
to do the
no.
work.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Bob, absolute pleasure to talk about Neuropsychiatric Addiction Clinic. Now, obviously, they can see it's mpaddictionclinic.com. You can call the number at
Mhm.
844 282 1306.
Abs
You're in Port St. Lucie,
Yep.
which, what is that near as far as airports and things like that?
Well, uh, we can pick up clients most airports in the immediate area, but most of the folks that come to us when they book their air travel, they usually come into West Palm Beach.
That just makes it about a little easier to get into that
Yeah,
airport than some of the smaller
it's a
ones.
little easier, and it's about an hour from the treatment facility.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, you're not sitting on the beach and you're not doing all that, but it's a
Mhm.
quiet, beautiful
Very much so.
facility,
Yeah,
nice and calm. Um, I also I want to address one more thing before we
sure,
go, which is the
sure,
safety of your clients from
uh-huh,
themselves and from other clients.
sure,
That is paramount for you, isn't is it not? That people are not put in harm's way.
absolutely. We have a number of cameras throughout the facility and outside that we can keep monitor people. I mean, we don't have them in bathrooms and things like that, but
Well,
we
of
we
course.
have them in important areas that we can always monitor what they're doing, where they are. I'm also I have a short leash, and meaning basically that I will not allow another person to interfere with another client's treatment. Meaning that we do a huge inspection, a huge look at their clothes and things like that when they come in. I will not allow them to bring drugs into my treatment facility. If they are starting interfering with another client's treatment, they'll personally sit down with me and I will tell them, that this can't happen. Part of the recovery process is to help people, not hurt people. And so if they are going to interfere with someone else's treatment program, then maybe we're not the treatment program for them. And if they continue, then I'll probably have to ask them to leave, but I'll transfer them to another treatment program. I'll never abandon a client.
Absolutely. So, folks, if you want to know more, you can give them a call. Again, 844
Absolutely.
282 1306. And even if it's just a simple question, just because you make that call doesn't mean you've got to commit that you're going to go somewhere or
Oh
commit
no.
your son or daughter.
Yeah.
Ask questions. You guys
Mhm.
answer questions all day long, right, Bob?
24 hours a day, 7 days a week, we answer them. And a lot of times, we get many, many calls, and many, many times it doesn't necessarily, person doesn't necessarily come into us, but we answer the questions so that the person on the other line of the phone can make a good decision.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So please check it out. In the coming shows, we're going to be talking about trauma related issues that go along with addiction. We're going to be talking about everything from families
Mhm.
to even some of the new things that we're finding for treatments and alternatives
Right,
to traditional treatments. So we're
right.
going to be talking about all that with the great staff
Yes.
at Neuropsychiatric. Bob and I will always be close by,
Yep.
no matter who we're talking to or interviewing. But yeah, Bob, this is good, and this is what we want this to be: is more information for people, right?
Absolutely. You have to be an informed consumer, whether you're the client or you're the family member of a potential client. You want to be informed. You want to be able to make the right decisions based upon the information that you've been provided.
All right. So I want to thank everybody for joining us. And, for Bob Lehmann and Scott Jones, we are very, very proud to bring this information to you right here on Insights into Addiction and Mental Health. This is the podcast and brought to you by Neuropsychiatric Addiction Clinic. We will catch you next time.
Thank you.